inches from there to here. And basically, this is all drywall. So they did do a junction box. So that's not a problem to get the electric to over there. So that's what I would do, is move the stove to there, move the refrigerator to there, because I want this to just be a nice open area. If we're taking that wall down, we can't have the back of the refrigerator facing there. Now, you could leave the stove here, you know, and we did that once, and made a mistake. You know how the stove's a slide, it has the back part, right? So we did that, and we did a granite mount, but the height of the bar wasn't high enough. Our contractor made it too low, and we went to sit in the top of the stove was hitting. So we took it out, and we just got a slide in that just has, you know, the controls are in it. And now there was no granite there, just like there's no backsplash here, right? So we already had the granite, and now we have no granite there. So we got this really cool little mosaic tile we put in there, and it looks like we did it on purpose. When you look at it, you say, oh, that was a nice accent. So we turned lemons into lemonade, right? There's always a way to do that. So we take this down. Obviously, we leave the door. There's no reason not to, because you can serve. You know, if you're cooking, if you're barbecuing, whatever, that's nice to have the access to be able to get in and out. So that would be changed. I would not go with 42-inch uppers, although you have the room to do 40-inch. This is always 18 inches clearance is what you have here is standard. You can't have less than 18, you can have more, but 18 is pretty standard. So sometimes people go with 42-inch. These are 30, so 42-inch is another 12 inches. It's going to be right up to the ceiling. And depending once I got it down, I might do that, but I like crown molding that I want to put on it, so it might fit and it may not. We wouldn't know that until we measured it, because you don't want this being less than 18 inches. And that's getting tight. That's probably about 1 foot. So totally redo it. I like having a backsplash. I'll always do a backsplash. So you want to have a backsplash. Too many people rehab houses don't put a backsplash. They don't put under-counter lighting, and it looks naked. The under-counter lighting you can't tell, but when you look at photos, now that I'm pointing it out to you, you start looking through the multiple listing or any houses that you see, and if that's just plain drywall, it just looks like, you know, like you forgot to put the makeup on, you know? I mean, you got dressed and you didn't finish, you know? Or like me, I forgot to put the belt on today. Or in the car, but my pants aren't falling down yet. So you don't want to leave that out. And it doesn't cost a lot to do backsplash. You know, you may spend $100 to $200 maximum of material, another $100 to $300-400 maximum. And that's on the high side for a big kitchen. You can figure $500 you can do backsplash with a really pretty tile and labor. So this house probably had a flood when we get to next door to the other bathroom. I'm not real fond of garbage disposals, but I would put one in this house. It is sewer. I'll never put one in. You should never put one on if it's septic, because that's just bad. But they're bad no matter whether you have septic or sewers, because people don't use them right. They think you can throw everything down there. It's a source of problem. But it's the wow factor. This is the kitchen that you know that is going to sell the house, so you definitely do that. Granite under-counter sinks. So I would wrap it around. When I leave this here, there's no reason to start, because this is a block wall, so you're not going to move the sink, and you always want to have a sink where it's either looking into the room or you want it looking outside. You never want it looking at a wall. Yeah. Right? Especially a female would agree with that, right? So any questions on what one would do in the kitchen? Pretty simple. You want to make sure that you have, in these older houses, that you have GFI outlets. Those are ground fault intercept, so that nobody gets electrocuted. And what are you saying today?
Just a skeleton of something dead. See that? Right?
Yeah.
I don't know, rat or something.
Yeah. Whatever. Or snake.
Rat.
Cat. Something.
Yeah, pretty.
Construction and science.
Yeah.
Forensics.
Right. This house has copper plumbing. These houses here, we had it in ours, had a leak under the slab from the copper. What happens is that copper will last forever if you don't have a high chlorine content, which will start to erode it. Here in Florida, we have a high content of chlorine because we have warm water, and so the organics in it, so some places have an abundance of chlorine. But the biggest problem is the builders, when they put the copper in and it comes up through the concrete, they don't sleeve it with some kind of material so the concrete doesn't touch it. Two problems. One, concrete moves. It expands and contracts, so you have friction, so it'll make a hole in it. But there's also a chemical reaction. Copper cannot touch metal. It can't touch anything. There's a reaction when there's two dissimilar metals. So a lot of times when and I'm going to explain it, if you wanted to go from copper to, let's say, galvanized or some kind of other material, It has a transition piece that will allow that. So when it goes through the concrete, it causes so. But that's an expense that when you turn the water on and it's not leaking, you know, that's, it's not something that needs to be done. It's more a moral thing that you have to think about, of what you're selling to the next family, that you've given them a hot potato. The house is what, was built in 92?
77.
So
Yes.
this house, it's old. I mean, it's on borrowed time, whether or not there was a leak. And the tile is loose over there, but I don't think there's any plumbing running through. Where does the tile? Right there, right there. Now, lift it up. Now, it could be a different, but in the.
Or they buried the drugs here, but I couldn't
Yeah,
find
that's
it.
kind of odd, it's very, you hear that noise versus here?
Yeah, that's
So,
all.
Yeah, so it means they didn't have enough of the cement, which is called the thin sediment. That could be the reason, I mean, it's a concrete slab, I doubt that they excavated this for any reason and had wood there. So I'm leaning towards more non-thin sediment, what do you think? And that's making a lot of noise when I have a thin sediment.
Couple of things, it could be from the flood.
That traveled
The
this
flood, the water, or if they did add this master bedroom, they could have had entrenched plumbing back that way, and that could be
Right.
where they came through.
Yeah, right, because there is, a clean out right there. So we know that the sewer line is going in there, so it may not have traveled through here, but the water lines they could have brought, well, there could be a lot of room in that attic, but how they got the water lines there. If it was, I think it was always there, but who knows? Because as long as we lived in this development, and we moved in '98, this house was just the way you see it. But like Eric said, it could have happened in the '80s or, or the early '90s before we moved here. So, but that's a problem. Now, did anybody pick up any problem with the electric in this house?
Before you do that, Barry, what would
Yes.
you do with the lighting in here? I
Oh,
know they
okay.
got one light in the center and a couple of track lights, but it
Okay.
looks funny.
So, with lighting, some of the nice things that people do are pendants that hang down, or where we're gonna make that breakfast bar. They hang down either like a rope, fancy rope type design. So people will do that. And you wanna have lights over the kitchen sink. I'm certainly gonna do under counter lighting. I'm gonna get rid of all this, because that's not how I'm gonna put it. So when I open this up here, you have plenty of electricity here that you tap in, you put another switch, so that you have, under counter lighting. Then, since we would do a corner, I would put a corner cabinet in here that goes at an angle. And one of the things that Eric and I have done quite a bit is we order it with a glass door. And then the shelves that come standard from the factory, we just take those shelves to a glass company and get them to replace them with glass. And then we put a light on from the top of the cabinet, and now it'll shine down through all the glass, and and especially since you're gonna enter into the kitchen here, you can see it from there, that's gonna become a focal point, which will really give it that wow factor. And I'll usually put that on the same switch that the under counter lighting is on, and have it on a rheostat, a dimmer, so that you can have night lights and have an effect. We also have done that string lighting, the rope lighting, that comes with remote control, and you can change it to any color you want. Has anybody ever used that?
Typically, we'll put that in if you do like a
Yes,
soffit.
on the side, right, so it reflects up onto the ceiling, indirect lighting, correct. But as far as the main lighting, I probably am gonna put some kind of main light in the center. Oh, there is one right there, okay. I like a lot of light in a kitchen. They make LED lighting, a lot of stuff's changing over to LED, and you get much brighter light from it. And some of them, you don't even replace the bulbs on them. But I'm a fan of a fluorescent light, but they make fancy ones only because I like a bright kitchen. So that's, and now we're talking something more that's, you gotta have an we generally say that the colors of the tiles, all the artistic and the wow stuff is usually a female decision. But a lot of guys can pick out some nice stuff. I can do pretty well, but I wouldn't match my skills with a female who really is, knows how to dress up, decorate a home. That's a female decision, so it's not bad if you guys, the guys in here have wives, get them involved. when Eric and I first started, we started with Diane Faust. Diane is a interior designer. We did a couple of houses that we partnered on, but we also brought her in for a small percentage of the sales price to help us. And that's a great thing, because she would go out and pick the colors. She would give you a sample of it. She'd tell you the SKU number. She'd give you the grout number. She would give you the design. Like, this is installed plain, the tile in here. It's not staggered. It's not on a diagonal. It's just plain. The installers like it because it's the least amount of labor. There's the least amount of waste. When you do tile, you generally figure your square footage, and then you have a 10% waste factor. So lighting in here, there is no light underneath here, which is generally where it goes. But since we're going to be removing this, I might move it in versus here. But you gotta have lighting here, should have lighting there, and then lighting hanging down over the island, as well as undercounter lighting. We found I'm always losing you, right? I'm always losing the bugs of myself. Ceiling fans, if they're in bedrooms, let's go this way since we want to look at this bathroom anyway. So one of the things is they got the laundry facilities in this bathroom.
You wanna follow, so you can videotape?
A female would probably like having the laundry facilities in the house versus in the garage. And is that the back of our kitchen right there?
Yes.
So if you didn't want to lose space, this could be cabinetry or a big pantry. Right, there was no pantry there, was there?
No.
Well, there's our pantry. But we
Put a door.
So we would go L-shaped.
Yeah, we could easily get rid of this
Even
laundry
if you
room
did
here.
deep cabinetry in there, somehow,
And where would you put
I
it?
would like to
the
incorporate this into either right here, you know, where it would be a pantry, and the cabinetry, as we said, would be L-shaped, and it could stop right here, and this here could be a pantry. This could be relocated into the garage. Water line, electric, vent, not a problem. Your only problem is the waste line, because there is no waste over there. But if anybody was paying attention when I said that there was a clean out outside, so all you gotta do is go from the garage and go outside in the dirt and find that sewer line and tap right into it. So that really won't be a big deal at all to put the waste line and so I would move this to the garage, instead of having it in here.
So you wanna capture part of this to
From
be
the
part
other
of the
side.
kitchen?
Yes, from part of the kitchen, correct.
But if you didn't even wanna do that, could you just put a stackable, washer dryer and then
Here?
just take part of it?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't put a stackable in, I only do that when, because that's a negative, in my opinion.
Okay.
When you don't have any space, you have no, then, and you gotta do both, I would do that, but a house that's big enough, why are you gonna do that? So no, I wouldn't do that. And I just don't like it in here. First of all, if somebody's using the toilet,
Yeah,
right,
that's true.
then nobody could be working on this at the same time, you know, it's inconvenient. It was just a spot that they said, let's do it. In my opinion, it's a bad design. And then it'll open this up, because this wall will disappear. You could rearrange this. I probably would rearrange it a little bit, because I'd want a double vanity right there, so I don't like the toilet being there. And now that gives us an opportunity to maybe put a toilet here and inside of its own little room. So if I was gonna do something, I might do that. That was a bathtub, I'm gonna go back with a bathtub.
Yeah.
Don't renovate a family home and take away the bathtub in the hall.
right.
Don't need a bathtub in the master bathroom unless it's a big soaking bathtub, but people take showers today. The reason that I would leave a bathtub in the hall bath is why?
Children.
Children, that's right.
Exactly.
Little
So if they
ones.
have little ones, they need to be able to bathe them. And that's why I also don't put glass doors on bathtubs. Shower curtain is fine. What they wanna do later on is up to them, but I'm not gonna spend money wasting it. This is a big enough spot, I probably would
Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope everybody has a great weekend. If you want to learn more about what we do, either reach out to me or go to jvpartnership.com. Like I said, I hope everybody has a great weekend. See you soon.